love that intro. It is a banger. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome everyone to Skeleton Crew Review. We are the Circle of Nerds, and this is kind of a supplemental show to what we normally do with our Star Wars Safespace podcast. We could not talk about Skeleton Crew, so here we are. If you didn't check out last week's episode with Crash and I, please go check that out. We had a lot of fun. I was on the road at the time, so it was like laptop. It was like the lowest tech I could go laptop. Yeah, it was
guerrilla podcasting.
Guerrilla podcasting on the road doing guerrilla podcasting. Yeah. So I literally have not unpacked anything since we were in Bostoween. So I had to like get stuff. And my camera's frozen again, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. All right. So I still have a few little bugs here and there since I've gotten everything like quickly set back up. So I'll do all that. That's anyway. So Skeleton Crew episode 3 is out and we're going to talk about it today. But before we do that, let's go around and meet everyone. So the operator, the pilot of the infamous Parma Flyer, it's Crash.
How you guys doing? S-Foil's locked and ready to go.
There you go. Love it, love it, love it. And from parts unknown, it is T to the Oni and friend.
Welcome back, everybody.
And who's that? That looks like little Santa Grogu.
That's exactly what it is. He's adorable.
He is adorable. So that I feel like and I'm Tommy. What's up? Okay. So I feel like the internet has already been debating this between Grogu and Neil. Like who's got the cuteness? Like have you seen the meme where it's what is it? The guy and his girlfriend are walking and he like turns to look at the other girl that's walking by and his girlfriend's like, "Hey." I've seen that where people superimposed like Neil's head on the girl who's walking by and then Din is the guy, the boyfriend, and then the girlfriend is Grogu. So has Grogu been dethroned as the cutest Star Wars entity in the galaxy? Inquiring minds want to know.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
No?
Now, there is a threat to Grogu's overall cuteness by Jeff the Landshark in Marvel Rivals. But that's the only challenge that Grogu's got right now.
Yeah, but that's different franchise, so
it is.
we'll let that one slide for now. And I hope I don't have to keep doing that. Like, I'm glad it's a podcast, but this is still going to go up on the tubes anyway. That's like, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of getting reacquainted with all the buttons. I apologize to all of our listener for dealing with this. Anyway, so episode 3, there's a little bit to unpack. This episode went quick. It was pretty. I mean, it was 40 plus minutes, but it was done like that. When the episode was over, I was like, "This is it." That was quick. I felt like it was 15 minutes.
Yeah, it definitely moved along.
It did.
Well, you get a little spoiled with the 2-parter. There's so much they got to establish, and they did the cliffhanger in the jail cell, and it's like, well, it's like the start of a Doctor Who episode. They got to wrap up the previous episode in like 5 seconds and move on. So this was the sort of escape the prison, get out in the world, and now what?
Right. So we're gonna the big question. We're not going to rehash the entire episode. If you watched it, you know what happened. So we're not going to rehash the entire episode, but the question that we're going to talk about is Jod and his identity and our thoughts and predictions. So have that ready, have that locked and loaded. But there's a couple things, a couple other things we need to unpack. So first of all, KB has 2 moms. It's a thing. Get over it. Move on. Like this, I feel like this is the thing that the fandom menace was waiting for. Because up to this point, they were pretty chill. They were pretty quiet. They were liking the show. And then all of a sudden, KB has got 2 moms. So, and I haven't even bothered to look to see if there's been any backlash. And I'm almost positive there has been or there will be. So it's still early. So KB, 2 moms, nobody cares. Moving on, unless you guys have something to say about it. All right, I'll take that
The
as
only thing I got to say about it is if somebody has a problem with it, get over it.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. Well said. All right. So one of the reasons, and we'll just touch on this real quick. Here's why I think the show is brilliant, because in episode 3, the children asked all the questions that the fans have been asking for like a week. So all of the stuff that happened in 1 and 2, the fandom has been asking, well, how did this happen? And where is this? And why is this? You know, like the stuff with Jod, like, well, if he's a Jedi, why didn't he escape sooner? The kids are asking these questions. How did he use the Force? And Fern listed like magnets, mirrors, string. I mean, it could be anything. And I love
and the
that.
sass she did it with, like, are you, how dumb are you to fall for a key on a string trick?
You are right. Fern is the sass master, and she's giving off like great Han Solo vibes. And I really, really hope that we see these kids grow up, and I hope that we get more of them, because I would love, as actors, you don't want them to necessarily get typecast, and I'm sure they don't either. But I would love to see them locked into Star Wars and watch them grow up.
Yeah, it's a good, like I said, it's a good growing for the. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
I agree. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Correct.
And they're at that age where these kids, these actors, can play them for a couple years. If they do get the ever so hard to get season 2 renewal, if the show does well and they like the format and they want something, a lot of the buzz after the first 2 episodes was that Star Wars got to be fun again. And I think these kids almost like the Harry Potter cast have a window where, okay, we can have these kids be part of something for a couple of years while they're in that age where they fit the role, and then they can move on with their lives and and have nice quiet lives outside the show. But I think for now there's just the element of, okay, we've got child actors and an interesting story. How far can we work with this
in a healthy way? And I think that they kind of did that with Harry Potter. I didn't hear a whole lot about the child actors' lives being ruined. They were handled well, because they grew up doing these movies. They grew up, that was their childhood. They started when they were like 10 years old, 11 years old, something like that.
The older ones. I saw the Weasley brothers at Steel City Con. I mean, and they're like in their mid-20s, late 20s now, and they're they still known for this role when they were teenagers. And there's perils that go with that as child actors go, and I feel like Lucasfilm would be very good at protecting the children from the fandom menace, as it were.
I hope so. They didn't do a great job with Jake Lloyd, unfortunately. That kind of went sideways for him. But I think that they didn't have Jake for very long. They had Jake for 1 movie, and it's like, thanks, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your life. But there was so much hatred for that movie when it came out, especially from the original. Anyway.
How could they be jamming us if they don't know we're coming?
Yeah. All right. So we're getting off on a tangent. That's going to be for our other podcast, but this is Skeleton Crew. So, one of the things that I did notice that because a question that I had that they addressed was when Wim was stuck in that little gully area, and you had the security droid just instantly just pop up on him like, you've got to get back to school. You're truant. It's like, how did he know? Crash, you and I speculated on that, and they addressed it. They're all low jacked. They all have life monitors on them. So when he didn't show up at school, his life monitor was checked and security droid zeroed in on him. So it's almost as if they heard us, and they
it's weird, that whole plant. You figure a whole school full of kids are LoJack like that. This is a very controlled society.
Yes,
Whatever's
it
going
is.
on.
Yes, it is. So we do learn more about that, which I think is very, very intriguing, and we may discuss that as well. I don't know, but the big thing that I want to talk about is Jod Nawood. I think that's his full name, also known as Captain CeeLo, also known as Crimson Jack. So who are you, buddy? And that's the question for this episode: is who is Jod? What are our theories on this? And Tony, we're gonna start with you, buddy. I want to know, what are your thoughts here about Crimson Jack, aka Jod, aka who knows how many else?
So when I hear Star Wars and I hear the word Crimson, my mind immediately goes to Crimson Dawn.
Okay.
So to me, Crimson Jack is a guy named Jack who worked for the Crimson Dawn.
Okay.
Now, since then, he leaves them or whatever and becomes captain of a ship. So now he's Captain Silva. So maybe his actual name is Jack Silva. Now, the thing is, for me, that's also a pretty bland name, especially in the Star Wars universe.
But he would be Captain Jack.
I mean, he would be, but still. So that makes it interesting when he introduced himself as Norwood or whatever.
Jod, I think it's Jod.
Yeah.
Nawood. Like it's Jod, then N-A Na, and then Nawood, I believe.
So if his actual name is Jack Silva or Silva, that's an interesting name to just make up on the spot. So maybe that is his actual name. Maybe he's hiding something about his past. That's why he goes by other names. Yeah, I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea, and I'm looking forward to finding out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. It's like I love that there's so many questions, and some things feel a little predictable, but not really. I mean, I don't know. Looking forward to it. Crash, what say you?
I think, first off, I like how this show has shifted from the Space Goonies motif heavy into the Pirates of the Caribbean in space.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Jude Law, character with multiple aliases, whichever one we may never know which one he really is, because his lifestyle, he's got to go by a different name every time he gets himself in trouble. Mm-hmm. That's a very, even when he shows up at this observatory, planet, moon, the first thought is, first thing everybody thinks is, okay, what do you want from us? What are you trying to scam me out of now?
Right.
This guy's a troublemaker around the galaxy, and I have a feeling he's got plenty of aliases that he burns through.
So you think that? So what? Now, there's definitely a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean vibes. Like there was when he was in the little droid shop looking for SM-33. It almost sounded like there was some Pirates of the Caribbean music being played in there as he was going from droid to droid, turning them on. And man, thoughts and prayers to the battle droid. I felt so bad for him when he turns him on. He's like, "Did we win? Did we win?"
Okay, you're gonna take that headpiece and put it on the wall of remembrance with all the clones that went down. The poor guy doesn't even realize they lost the war.
I feel like I have to. I feel like that I have to. And that was interesting when they talked about Alderaan, and Kim was like, "Oh, I guess they missed the war, huh?" So that gives us a little more hint into how long Atten has been shrouded. So
right.
That's gonna be interesting. So here's my theory. This is what I think. Here's my theory about Jod, and I could be way off. We talked a little bit about it last week about. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Crash, were you saying something, buddy?
No, go ahead.
Okay. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm starting to wonder. So, do we think that he was using the Force at all, or was he manipulating things in some other way?
I wonder if he might have been using the Force in a casual, I am self-taught Moana sense.
Okay.
Like, there's a little bit of truth in what he said about, well, it takes a lot of practice. Well, for Jedi, they go to a temple and they've, been taught the ways and the meditations and stuff like that. After the Empire, they're still going to be Force sensitive people, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't do certain tricks out of reflex. And I wonder if maybe Jude Law's character has developed a little bit of Force sensitivity and used that to, the heightened reflexes. Maybe he can, call a small object to his hand and, do the Ben Kenobi distract the guards thing with a noise down the hallway. Jedi mind tricks, self-taught.
Okay. So, do we think that he had any formal training? Could he have been a Padawan who escaped Order 66? Tony, what are your thoughts on that?
It's entirely possible. I think of him more. I think of him as a natural Force user, but not a trained one. To me, his tricks kind of remind me of the little boy at the very end of episode 8, where he just pulls the broom to himself.
Right.
Where it's just I have this limited ability where I can do little things here and there, but I don't consider myself to be a Jedi or anything else. It's just I can just do these things.
Right. So, but he has knowledge of, I don't want to say the Force, but he's got knowledge of the lore. He's got knowledge of some of the rules and the things that are said, and so he has knowledge of the Jedi. So, did he again? Was he a young Padawan? Did he happen to find some sort of holocron somewhere, or some sort of ancient Jedi text, or scroll or something? I'm probably not an actual scroll, but did he find like an ancient Jedi book of some sort, and he read through it, and he picked up these things? But do we think that he is? And he said he never said he was a Jedi, but do we think that he's in some way a part of the Jedi Order? Like pre-Order 66, obviously.
At this point, I don't. If anything, I see him as kind of like Wim, where he was fascinated with them growing up and just learned what he could. But again, I don't see any signs of formal training or background that would indicate that he's been around other Jedi.
Okay. Crash, what do you think?
When he meets the kids, he hears them talking about Jedi and Jedi this and Jedi that, and that was sort of his in. He may know a little bit about the lore just by growing up, much like Wim. There might have been storybooks, it might have been just tales of the Jedi that kids heard on the underground that the Empire just couldn't completely suppress. And I think he's sort of playing the role, kind of like that guy in Kenobi who was pretending to be a Jedi to scam people out of money. You talk a big game, you work in a few sleight of hand tricks, and the average person's not.
Yeah, Crash, you were breaking up a little bit there, but I get what you're saying. Like, sleight of hand tricks, just It's all tricky. Maybe it was Megan's. Maybe it's some sort of remote or something. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So we're going to have to wait and see. And I'm really, really excited about this. So I'm so happy with the show. I really am. I'm so happy with the show. We also heard that it is forbidden to make contact to anyone outside, anyone off world. So they can't even reach out to the Republic. You know, I'm assuming they haven't had any transmissions in either, since they're a hidden world now. So do you think anyone on that planet actually has the means to contact the outside? And if so, are they aware of where they are currently in the history of the Republic? Like, 'cause I think we're about like 7 to 9 years after Return of the Jedi. This takes place around the same time as The Mandalorian. So somewhere around there, like 7 to 9 years out. So are the people of At-Aten, at least one person on this planet, aware of the current state of the galaxy? What do you guys think?
I think there's a chance that there's one or two people, whoever put this, great plan into effect. Yeah, but like, and I assume we're going to get to this a little bit more later, but my current theory is that whatever this great thing is, it took the planet completely off the map, and maybe to such a degree that like the technology is not even the same anymore. And Star Wars has never done this, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong in this. But I've been trying to figure out why the ship would have just crashed there, the ship that they're currently on. Why the ship would have just crashed there and been buried. And the only thing that I can think of is that it's kind of like when you enter into that little bubble that they're in, you almost go back in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when that ship got there, presumably by accident, like it just lost all control because it wouldn't work within that time frame. Like there's no controls to I don't know what the proper phrasing is, but that's how the ship crashed there. And so now it's the people on the planet. They might there might be a select one or few that have that ability to reach out, but in the grander scheme of things, with all the things that most of the people on that planet are not aware of happening in the outside world, being able to find a random ship full of kids is not going to be high on their priority list.
Right. Now, it's entirely possible, too, that the ship crashing on At-Aten predates the culture that's there now. It's entirely possible that it could have crashed 100+ years prior to anyone settling on that planet. And, maybe the planet was, designated as the perfect spot for the, the great work. But that ship had already been there, and the treasure had maybe already been there. So, but I did notice that they were Wim was looking at the credits again as they were talking about, everybody's into accounting and, everyone's analysts and things like that. So it could be possible that they found the treasure a long time ago and they've been using it to basically melt down and print money. And they have to keep account of it. So I don't know. Crash, what are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting how quickly, the parents, once they got word of the kids that were off world, and they were sort of, like parents, I assume, would do, their first and only thought is, how do I get my kids home? Mm-hmm. The droids, in my mind, almost were writing them off right away as well. They're gone. Just go back to your daily lives. Just go about your work. Right. Forget your kids. And I have a feeling that's going to come back to bite them later on. This society, this is this planet that's been kind of, sort of deliberately reclusive from the galaxy. Like, I don't think anybody's ever left before because no one's ever wanted to leave. Now you've got somebody, these kids out there trying to find their way home, and who are they going to draw with them in the process? The pirate. Obviously, the pirates are heard the name and immediately it's like, El Dorado. Yeah, I'll take you home to El Dorado. Sure. Can I bring some stuff home with me?
Right. So, and it was interesting. So we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but it's interesting because as they were, the droid was talking to the parents. We saw Wim's dad take his glasses off, and in that moment, I was getting a very like Denzel Washington in The Equalizer vibe. Like, dad is about to go do some shit. Like, he is not going to conform to this utopian ideal. He is not going to be a part of the status quo. He's damn sure not going to listen to these droids. Dad's going to look for his son. I'm telling you, mark my words. I really feel like he is going to have an adventure, and that's going to bring him and his son closer together. But he's going to jack a ship, and he's going to take off, and he's going to go looking for his kid, because that was just that one instance of him taking his glasses off. That's a man with resolve, and that's a man who now has the wheels moving. There's a plan in motion. And Wim's dad, Poppy's about to get into some trouble to bring his kids back. Well, to bring all the kids back. So, and maybe Fern's mom will go with him. I don't know, but I think we're going to find out some shit about the parents. I think that dad might.
I think there's somebody's going to be picking sides. Do something versus let the authorities handle it. There's going to be. I agree with you. There's going to be a schism amongst the parents over. No, I need to get my kid home now.
But maybe dad isn't as mild-mannered as he seems. Maybe he's got a background. Maybe he's former Old Republic Special Forces operative. He's a tier 1 operator for the Old Republic or so. I don't know. But either that or he's just a dad who wants to get his son back, and he's not going to be held back by anybody else. So I don't know. Predictions for next week. What do you guys say? Crash.
Well, I think the biggest thing is we saw the Jude Law kind of steering the kids away from help. As an audience, when you see X-Wings come in, you think, oh, here come the good guys to save the day. To a criminal, oh, here come the cops. I better get out of here with this ship I've stolen and these kids I'm conning along the way. He's leading them where he wants to go. And this partnership, I feel, is very Jack Sparrow-y, loose in the moment. However it benefits him, he'll wait for that opportune moment, kind of thing.
Right.
And there's going to be a little bit of a tension, I think, between him and it's me, the droid, who is dedicated to the ship and partially to the kids. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a power struggle on the ship, as well as between the parents and the authorities about finding their children.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought it was interesting. The kids were about to sauce those X-Wings. I mean, I was like, wait a minute, they're not gonna kill some Republic X-Wing pilots, are they? What's happening over here? So
well, it was like, wasn't that like the greatest kid moment though? The first time Luke Skywalker was like a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, an older kid, but
right.
Just that idea of you're the video game fantasy of, okay, kid, here, I'm gonna put you in this turret and just shoot at anything, just shoot to distract. He didn't tell him kill the X-Wings. He just said just keep firing, distract them, keep them busy until we. But just that idea as a kid to go, oh wow, I'm in the chair, I'm at the controls, pew 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 pew. We all did that as kids. That was total wish fulfillment, the fantasy, the fun that I feel like this show is touching on.
And if you're that age, even in desperate times, and if you're a kid and you get into a laser turret, yeah, you're like, all right, this is pretty cool. He might still be scared, but he's pretty cool. And it was interesting how Jod was controlling that narrative too. He was like those, Kim's goons.
Yeah,
so as far
they're
as
not,
the kids,
it's not the New Republic. It's not
Right.
help. It's not the cavalry. They're her
Mhm.
goons, and they're coming to get you.
Right. So as far as the kids knew, those X-Wing pilots were the bad guys.
Right.
And they were about to get sauced. So very interesting. God, I love this show.
Well, one little Easter egg before we go. I don't know if you guys picked up on this. Anthony Molina played that Ishtib in the droid, the scrap room when they were looking for Smee, the droid.
Yeah.
His name, I looked it up. Benjar Paranik. That's his name.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you heard his voice, and the best part is, you've heard of the Ming-Na hat trick, where she's been in a Disney, a Marvel, and a Star Wars show.
Yes.
Molina's now completed the hat trick. He's played Elsa Nana's father in the Frozen 2, Doc Ock in the Sony, and then later in the No Way Home. So it's part of the MCU, and now Star Wars. So he's completed the hat trick.
Nice.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
I love that stuff. Tony, predictions for next week. What do you think? What are we going to see?
Well, my biggest prediction, my biggest thing for next week's episode in particular is that we're almost going to have a reverse of this episode, where in this episode we had maybe a minute and a half with the parents and actually being on At-Atten.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entire rest of the episode was the kids and John. I think this next episode is going to be almost the exact opposite.
Okay.
Because, I mean, at this point, they've got the coordinates to get home, at least as much as Kim thought that this was going to be the right place. So, like, consider you're going into hyperspace, unless the ship breaks down or something like that, like, there's nothing stopping them from just going straight there. I mean, obviously you have to deal with the barrier when you get there, but I think we're going to have, like, if we're going to drag this out for 8 episodes, we've got to focus more on this B plot of the parents, and I think that's going to happen in this next episode.
Fair.
The other thing that, and I don't know that I call it a prediction, but just my sense of it lately, is that when this show first started, I thought that Wim was going to be the audience conduit.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm thinking it's not going to be him. It's going to be the girl.
Which one, KB or Fern?
KB.
Okay.
Like in particular, the fact that she was the one that kind of stuck behind it to make sure Kim was okay. Kim said, you could reach out if you need anything, although I don't know how she's going to do that, but
did
she give her
handle
something that we didn't see?
Something? Yeah.
And so those that's my thoughts as far as future is concerned. I did also have one potential Easter egg. I'm not sure about this because I've only seen it a couple of times in the cartoon, but I'm pretty sure that when they were leaving, when they were tied up and trying to get out of that port, I'm pretty sure I saw Hondo's ship there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Hondo's ship, and it was other people have picked up on that. Everybody's scanning the scenery for any little Easter egg, any little thing, and Hondo's ship is, I guess, very prominent in a shot. Whether we'll see him make an appearance is another story, but just seeing his ship kind of implies that he was there.
Oh, I'll have to look back. I missed it. I didn't see it, and I hope we see Hondo. That would be so cool.
That would be great.
I would love Hondo. He is the bad guy that you love to hate. I mean, he really is. All right. So, I can't wait to see where this goes. So that's going to do it for us. We are going to be off the radar for the next 2 weeks because of the holidays. So everyone's going to enjoy holiday time with the family and all that. So we are going to be back after New Year's. And let me look at a calendar because I probably should have had this written down already. because today, oh no, we'll be back to discuss episode 4 next week, but then we'll be taking off Christmas Day and New Year's Day, of course, and then we'll be back on January 8th to talk about probably 5 and 6. But I think the series might be over or close to being over by then. But anyway, so that was really pointless, everything that I just said, because I didn't know what today was. And that's kind of how it goes in my world. So that is going to do it for us this week. Looking forward to episode 4 next week. And of course, do like, subscribe, do all the things, leave us some comments, follow us on all of our socials. We're doing a lot of stuff on TikTok while it lasts, and just kind of having fun geeking out. You guys got anything before we head out?
No, just really enjoying this.
Wait, what?
You got to pimp the merch.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got to pimp the merch. So head on over to our website, circleofnerds.com/merch, and pick up some stuff. We don't have any merch for this show though yet, but we've got merch for our other show, which you should be listening to as well. Because on that show, if you're not familiar, if all you're familiar with is what we're doing here on Skeleton Crew Review, on our other show, Star Wars Safespace, we're going through all of the Star Wars, all the TV shows, all the films in chronological order, and then discussing. So if you're kind of new to Star Wars, that's kind of what we're geared towards. So, that way each week we give you homework, you watch it along with us, and then we discuss, maybe connect the dots a little bit and have a good time. So that comes out every Tuesday. So you can check out new episodes of Star Wars Safe Space every Tuesday on your favorite podcasting platform, or if you like to watch, you can check us out on YouTube. So there you go. Thank you for reminding me, Tony. I appreciate you. Crash, did you have something else?
No, just really, like we've been saying all along, enjoying the show. I was at Steel City Con last weekend and got to talk to Bryce Dallas Howard. She's excited for this show, and she's that old school Hollywood where she's like trying to express her excitement for it, but without actually saying which episode she's directing. Even though Disney's already, they announced the whole slate and they've told you, so we know. But I like the fact that even the people working on this show are excited about the fun of this show, and that's really the word that keeps coming back to me is Star Wars gets to be fun again.
Yeah, it's been pretty heavy. It's been pretty heavy. It hasn't been bad. Other people say it's been bad, and that's your opinion. Everybody's entitled to your opinion. But Star Wars has been very, very heavy. Even the Clone Wars and Rebels, although they're animated, they're just cartoons. Man, they get heavy. They get really, really emotionally heavy. The sequels, very heavy. Rogue One, obviously, is a heartbreaker. Andor, it's like, oh my God. It's like, yes, this is Skeleton Crew is the breath of fresh air that we really needed in Star Wars. Crash, like you said, it's getting the fun and the excitement and all these things that George wanted in Star Wars. I really, really hope that George is watching this with a big old smile on his face. I really do hope that he's just somewhere sitting on the couch with his family together, watching this beautiful, beautiful show and just grinning from ear to ear, because he hasn't always been smiles about some of the other properties that have come out. But I really do. This could have been written by George himself, not directed, because it's way better than anything that he's ever directed. but written, George could have written this himself. He couldn't have done any better. This is great. All right, so that is going to do it for us. Again, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week to discuss episode 4 of the Skeleton Crew. And in the meantime, follow us on all the things. So Crash, Tony, thank you guys so much for joining this week. And we going to see you next week, maybe?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. See if we can rope some more nerds into this along with us. So, all right, that's going to do it. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you next week.